Hi, everybody. This is Missy Cook from 631.com, the place to go to get out of your head and to get on with getting on. Today, I am super excited to be here with Sarah Jordan from hoopingbysarah.com, and we are going to talk about how she crafted a business and a life she loves by following her dreams. Sarah, how are you today?
I am doing wonderful, Missy. Thanks. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I am super pumped to be doing this interview with you. You're my numero uno, so it kind of hits a little special place in my heart.
Oh, awesome.
So at 631, I help women create positive change in their lives and communities by making a difference and having a blast. And the reason that I wanted you to come on the show today is because I know a little bit about you and your business, and it seems like you are out there making a difference and having a blast every single day. And I was hoping you could share some of your wisdom and insight with our readers over here.
Yeah, I would definitely love to share anything you want to ask me. I'm an open book, so.
Good. All right. So why don't we just get started right off at the very beginning? And why don't you tell kind of people the brief overview of what you do and how you got into your business?
What I do is I'm a hoop dance performer. So that means I perform with hula hoops for events and parties, and I teach hula hoop classes for kids. And I help other women start their own hooping classes for kids with my online course. And I got started back in 2009. I was watching my husband's band play at a coffee shop, and there was stuff hanging on the ceiling like bikes, hula hoops, and I guess from the vibrations, a hula hoop fell and it hit me, and I started playing around with it. It was a big one. Thank goodness it wasn't a bike. But anyway, that night I went home and I Googled hula hoops for adults, and I discovered hoop dance. And I was like, oh, this is so cool, because as a former ballet dancer, I've always been interested. I've always been into dance and movement. And I just kind of felt like when I was 21, like 10 or 11 years ago, you know, when you hit that age in ballet, you're old and you can't do it anymore.
Right.
Hoop dance is great because you don't have to be a certain age, you don't have to be a certain size, and I just love sharing the joy of hooping with everybody. But I specialize in teaching kids. Like, it holds a special place in my heart. I have more fun doing it, and they do too. I feel like it makes a big difference in kids' lives.
Sure, definitely. So now, how long ago was that you decided to start your business?
That was in 2009, and everybody thought I was crazy. But I believe in following your intuition and, you know, doing what you think is right. And I was like, I had a deal with my husband that if I didn't make enough money to sustain myself, or like if I didn't make as much money at this as I would at a full-time job, that I would go get a real job. And I never had to get another job, so.
It was pretty good stakes then, I guess, probably for both of you. It was like a win-win.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just have to prove people wrong or show them that you can do it.
Definitely. So then, how about now with your husband? I know you've mentioned he went on a trip with you this summer for hooping, and has he been a pretty solid support, you know, once you realized that you weren't crazy and you had something going?
Yeah, he's definitely turned around completely. Like, a couple of months ago, I won a ticket to Hoop Camp. It's this major festival/retreat thing in California, and Chad ended up going with me. So that was like, I was really shocked that he would want to go. But yeah, he's definitely a lot more supportive now and knows that I'm not all talk. Like, I'm definitely going to back up what I say I'm going to do, if only to prove people wrong. So that's definitely very business-minded, and he knows that now.
Right, definitely. So then, in the beginning, of course, I think it's hard to start any business, right? Whether or not you're business-minded, going out on your own is difficult. But then when you add that layer of being different or being something unusual, or maybe, being a hula hooper professionally is not even something that most people have ever heard of. So,
that's true.
What would you say is the biggest lesson you've learned about following your passions and doing, what you feel like you need to do in your heart?
Just stop caring so much about what other people think. No matter what, you're not going to be universally liked. So maybe as a kid I was a little bit of a people pleaser, but if you're a people pleaser, you've got to turn that around, because in business you're gonna have people that love you, hate you. Before I did this, I get hate mail.
Oh my God. How do you hate a hula hooper?
I take Derek Halpern's advice and just say screw them. But you're gonna have haters no matter what. So do what's right for you, and that's my biggest key. Like, other people are not always gonna believe in you or understand what you're doing. If you feel like something is right for you, just be like Nike and just do it. Try it. You never know until you try.
To follow up on that, and in deciding to get into your own business and deciding, I just have to do this. I just have to believe in myself. What do you think what is your biggest tip for people who feel like that weight is too much? It's too much to make the leap. What would you say is your word of encouragement for just getting over that hump?
In order to believe in yourself, you mean?
And to just make the leap for whatever it is that someone wants to do. The little leap of faith that gets you from fear to taking action. What would you say is your biggest tip for moving forward and just doing it, like you say?
Well, a lot of people talk about wanting to do something, and I was always the kind of person, I would never talk about it. I was just going out there and doing it. So I'm not very risk averse when it comes to business life or anything like that. But you'll never catch me on a roller coaster or anything. So this question might be a little tough for me to answer, but sometimes you do really have to fake it. And I feel like meeting other people that are going through the same thing that you are, definitely helps. Like being friends with other people that have their own business. It doesn't have to be in the same field as yours at all. But I'd say I didn't take B school until this year, and I wish I would have taken it 4 years ago. But I feel like having support from other business people really helps if you don't have support in your family right away, or in your friendship circle or whatever.
Definitely. So to get out there. So whether or not someone pursues a business or they just pursue a hobby or just something that they've always wanted to try, then aside from just doing it, you would say, it helps to surround yourself, of course. It's 100 years old, everybody says the same thing, but it helps to surround yourself with people who are doing the same thing and wanting to achieve the same things that you want to achieve.
Exactly, because then you see oh, okay, they're kind of like me and they can do it. It's not impossible.
Right. And I think one of the biggest things for me, besides surrounding myself with people who want the same things, is doing things and surrounding myself around people who have already achieved those things and are, a few steps above me, so that I can look up and say, what, it is possible. It's, I'm going there.
Yeah, that's even better. A mentor, so to speak.
Right. And what would you say, I've heard a lot of people say, well, I don't know I don't know how to find a mentor, nobody I know is doing this. What would you say to those people who don't feel like they have a connection like that in their life?
You might not know of one right now, and here's a cliched quote, but when the student is ready, the teacher appears. You know how you said no one had ever heard of hoop dancing, and people still, now like people actually know what it is and are seeking me out. But I actually had a mentor helping me through everything. I found a hoop teacher that night when I was Googling, in 2009 when I was looking up hula hoops for adults, and she lives a couple of miles away from me. We're great friends to this day. She taught me how to make hoops. She helped me start my own classes. So I feel like I probably still would have done okay without her help, but I feel like knowing somebody else that did it was huge.
Right. And all you really did is look, right? I think that your story is amazing, because first you get hit on the head by a hula hoop, and then you mysteriously find a teacher, right down the road. But I think the point, that I'm trying to make is that you're right. When you are ready for something, the world does provide it to you if you're willing to take it.
And, at the time, 2009. At the time, I was just leaving my I say long time as in 4 years. That's a long time for me. I was a social worker for adults with mental illnesses. And my affirmations, I'm not sure if you're familiar with them, but these help too. My affirmations was that I have a job that I love and, that I'm passionate about. And when you condition yourself with affirmations, eventually your subconscious mind helps bring about what you're trying to brainwash yourself into believing. So maybe that's why I'm always in the right place at the right time.
Maybe. I think you're right. I've called them before at 631. I've called it your trigger response. So when something triggers you, what is your go-to response? So I sometimes will say this stuff to myself, like affirmations, just to remind myself. But then if I have something happen that is not not what I think should be happening at that moment, then I'll have a trigger response in my head that I say immediately, which is generally the opposite of the feeling that I'm having, so that I can remind myself to choose my attitude about it.
What you said about choosing your attitude, that's so important, because fear, it's the most powerful emotion, but it can paralyze you to where you will just procrastinate and not do anything. So you really have to choose another attitude, and affirmations can help, meditation can help, clearing your mind of other distractions. And these are free things that you can find on YouTube. You don't have to go become a Zen monk or anything like that.
Right. Right. I was talking to a client, this has been several months ago, and we were discussing, I don't even remember, but the conversation circled around whether or not you need to go to school for anything. And I said, unless somebody is requiring some sort of proof of your intelligence, there's no reason to ever go to school again, in my opinion. Everything that you want to know, you can find for free or very cheap online. Everything, if you want to look for it.
Yeah, if I had it all to do over again, knowing what I know now about what I'm doing with my life, I would have never went to college, and I would have saved that money. But yeah, creativity is the new currency. And I'm trying to remember the name of this movie. I think it's called Admission or something like that, where it talks about the same thing, you really don't need college anymore.
Right. Well, it's kind of...
have a job that, requires a certain thing, but with starting a business, I didn't go to business school. I went to school for psychology. everything I know I learned along the way online or through courses that I took online because I wanted to be spoon-fed the information.
Right, yes. Of course, you can pay for it, there's lots of great programs out there if you want it to be packaged up neatly, and, sometimes it's definitely worth it. And I do think, and you probably found this to be true too, that there is a factor of whether or not you're willing to invest in yourself. So if you're broke and all you have is time, then you're going to spend, if something is very important, then spend your time to learn more. But when you get to a stage where you're not broke, it's not worth your time to go searching around and find everything for free if you can buy a perfect package and learn it in one swoop.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll get back on track here a little bit. So, I know you mentioned a little bit about hooping, that you just love that there's no body requirements or age requirements and that anyone can do it, but what keeps you interested in it day after day, being a hula hoop master?
All right. So just to give everybody a little bit of background, a hoop dancer doesn't just use a hula hoop on their waist. So I use it all over my body, all kinds of crazy different tricks. But I love it because it's such a challenge. You can't master it. There's always something more to learn. And it's amazing. And it's not just a body workout. It's a brain workout too. Learning how to use double hoops was the biggest mind warp for me. I had to wrap my mind around certain tricks before I could physically do them. It's just so much to learn that I feel like I could do this forever and still not know everything about it. So I love learning, and it definitely fits that as far as it's always a challenge. I also love seeing everybody's face when they're like, "Oh my God, I did it!" And hooping helps change so many people's lives, not just because they found a fun hobby or they lost weight, because it's like a tool for confidence. It's helped so many people I know become more confident, including myself. I'm a totally different person than I was a couple of years ago.
That's awesome. It's sort of it's like the big three, right? It's this one activity that lets you have a healthy mind and a healthy body and a healthy spirit, all at the same time in one activity, whether you're teaching it to someone else or you're doing it yourself.
Exactly.
That's great. That's excellent. It's excellent. So we are coming to the end of our time here. Is there anything that you want to add about, following your dreams or hooping in general, or just, being someone who's just passionate and has a love for life?
Well, I would say if you're interested in hooping, don't be like, "Oh, I'm too old for this," because I've taught some grandmas to hoop, and so don't let that. And if you have another passion, don't wait, because time's going to pass anyway. You might as well do something for yourself and get started on it.
Definitely. So if anybody wants to know more about Sarah or about hooping, you can go to hoopingbysarah.com, or if you want to teach kids to learn how to hoop, you can go to teachkidstohoop.com and check out Sarah's program. And if you have any questions for me, you can email me at missy@631.com. I hope everyone enjoyed the show. Leave your comments. Let us know what you think, because if you love it, then I will keep doing this for you. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much, Missy.